clips you've just seen are just a few examples of the utter carnage an unsafe rejoin can cause in sim racing. One impulsive, rash move can have devastating consequences. Multiple races ended in a split second. For me, unsafe rejoins are one of the most frustrating things I encounter on a weekly basis in sim racing. Why? Because it's a mistake that has nothing to do with driver ability or skill. It doesn't matter whether you're a rookie in your first ever race or a seasoned pro. Everybody has an equal ability when it comes to rejoining a live racetrack safely. The problem is, in the heat of the moment, many drivers simply forget how to do it. You've spun out, the adrenaline kicks in, and your first instinct is to get back on track as quickly as possible. Sadly, it's often done at the expense of your fellow racers. With that in mind, I want to take a quick look at sim racing etiquette when it comes to rejoining a racetrack. On screen, you'll see some of the worst examples of careless, unsafe, and downright dangerous rejoin attempts from my recent iRacing experiences, along with my 4 top tips of what we can all do to avoid causing this amount of chaos. Now, if you've spun off the track, your initial instinct will be urging you to get back on it as quickly as possible. Fight that urge. The first thing you should always do is check your HUD. How much time do you have before the next car is coming? Is there a big enough gap to get back on track safely before they arrive? Now, I always use my relative board, and I try to wait for a gap of at least 3 to 4 seconds before attempting to rejoin on a racing line. If it's the first lap of a race, chances are you won't find that suitable gap until the entire grid has passed you by. But sadly, that's a price you have to pay for rejoining respectfully. While I use my relative board, you may prefer to use a track map or other HUD options. Anything that gives you an accurate idea of available space on track can be used. Sometimes you won't even leave the track when you spin. It's quite likely that you'll just come to a halt facing the wrong way, either on the racing line or just off it. If this happens, your first instinct will probably be to either get back facing the right way as quickly as possible, or simply just to try and get out of the way. However, this isn't always the best thing to do, particularly if you've just checked your HUD and you can see faster cars incoming. If you're in any doubt at all, the safest thing to do is stay still. The incoming driver will have seen you, they'll automatically aim to go around you. If you suddenly start moving, you're more likely to cause an even bigger wreck. Now, staying still on the racing line feels like it's the worst possible thing to do, but honestly, sometimes it's your best option. The incident on screen now is a clip of me spinning on the racing line at the hairpin at Hockenheim with pretty much the entire grid bearing down on me. There was no way I had time to turn the car around and rejoin safely, and I knew all the cars behind would be going wide to get around me, so I had no choice but to sit and wait it out. It's desperately frustrating watching every car on track go past you, but it's the safe and respectful thing to do. Now, often the quickest way back to the track isn't the safest. Whenever possible, try to avoid rushing to rejoin at a 90-degree angle. Re-entering the circuit at a right angle to the direction of traffic means you'll spend more time obstructing the track as you get your car turned and back up to speed. It's always best to get your car facing the right way before you get back on track, like we're seeing on screen now. This may involve running alongside the track to begin with, allowing you to slot back onto the tarmac as smoothly as possible. Always remember, your HUD and mirrors are crucial here. When you rejoin after a spin, you'll likely be travelling a lot slower than the cars approaching at racing speed. Always remember this when deciding if there's a big enough gap to get back on track. If possible, rejoin on the part of the track that isn't considered to be the racing line. That way, if any fast approaching cars have caught you out by just how quickly they've arrived, you won't be in the way. Of course, sometimes it's impossible not to rejoin on the racing line. On those occasions, remember 2 of my previous points. Get your car facing in the right direction before rejoining to minimise your speed recovery time, and watch your HUD like a hawk. Once there's a safe opportunity to get back on, you can rejoin on the racing line. There's always the option of then moving over further off the racing line should quicker cars be closing in fast. But remember my point about being predictable. If the cars are too close, they may already be moving off the line to go around you, so you don't want to suddenly swerve in front of them. So those are my thoughts on how to rejoin the track safely in sim racing. These are the 4 things I always try to do to make the racetrack a safer and more respectful place for my fellow drivers. Think back to those incidents on screen earlier in the video. If the drivers involved had followed any of these suggestions, we wouldn't have had a problem. Now these are just my opinions, of course, and how I try to behave on track. What about you? Do you have any other tips or advice about what to do in the unfortunate event that you spin off during a race? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you ever so much for watching. Wherever you're racing this week, have fun and remember, rejoin safely. Meanwhile, if you're interested in hearing more of my thoughts on sim racing etiquette, check out the video on screen now. Cheers.